Good morning, Wrestling Inc. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It is me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am every Wednesday to have a happy hump day to talk the news the past 24 hours. It's our good friend and comedian, Brian Wohl. Brian, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Happy Wednesday, Nick. Great to be here.
Yeah, dude, I'm glad to have you here, man. We got an eclectic bag of news here today. So we are going to get to that.
Yes, we do.
We have, I think eclectic is a nice way of putting the kind of news we have here today. So we're going to dive into that here in just a moment or so. If you are watching us live right now, jump in the chat room, say hi, talk to other wrestling fans. Let us know what's going on in your world as we talk the news. You are welcome to leave your comments on the in the news comment section. We'll bring them up on the screen. We'll make you a part of the show. And then later on in the show, if you're listening to us in audio form, you know the deal. After the news, you're going to get to hear my latest interview or our latest interview. Today is my latest conversation with my very good friend, Bill Apter, legendary OG pro wrestling journalist, good friend of Andy Kaufman. Did you see the Most Wanted Treasures where Bill just gave them Andy Kaufman's neck brace? Did you catch that or no?
Yeah, that was really nice of him. I don't know if I would have done that.
I wouldn't have done that. I give him heat. I give him grief about it in the interview. So you're going to get to hear me talk to Bill all about Andy Kaufman. We cover Hell in a Cell. It's a great chat. So Bill will be here later. And if you're watching us in video form, 1 Eastern, that's when all of our video interviews premiere over on our YouTube channel. So you can go check it out over there as well. And we'll dive in the mailbag for everybody at the end. We're going to look at this year's men's Money in the Bank match. But before we get to this eclectic bag of news, Brian, I want to congratulate Tony Storm. Yesterday on Instagram, came out as bisexual. It is, of course, Pride Month. So congratulations to Tony for living your life and having the courage to come out and let everyone know a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, yeah. And cheers to her for that. It's so important for young people to see that there's so many great folks that have all these different types of lifestyles. Representation matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, yesterday, the first gay football player came out. So, happy Pride Month, everybody. Let your flag fly, whatever it may be,
Yeah. One of the things I loved about that was they asked John Gruden, his coach, about what he thought about the whole thing. And Gruden said, I learned a long time ago that what makes a man different is what makes him special.
Wow, that's really eloquent. I did notice that like the NFL, his team, everybody had statements ready. I mean, like, it's already a lot of pressure just coming out in general, but can you imagine like having to like work with your agent and your marketing person and the NFL's marketing team to make sure that you're coming out comes across as well as can possibly be for yourself and everyone around you? I was just like, what a machine put together.
Oh, yeah.
Right? This is huge.
And emphasizing our differences are our strengths. What is the thing that maybe you were made fun of for as a kid? Perhaps being a wrestling fan is your strength now.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. That is my rainbow flag. It's pro wrestling. It's the WWE flag. So anyway, happy Pride Month. Congratulations to Tony and our good buddy here, Joseph, here, starting us off on a good note. Hello, Nick and Brian. Well, hello, Joseph. Guess what? It's time for news you can use. News to leave a bruise. And this one is like, we're going to start with some like AEW adjacent news here. It's Joey Janela news, right? So this is easily the most trafficked thing on the website. It is our lead story here today. Joey interrupted Seminole County school board meeting last night, was subsequently kicked out for trolling of the officials in attendance in what appeared to be a Borat type appearance. Now, he was at this meeting, as was released WWE referee Drake Wirtz, who has been actively protesting against the mask mandate in recent months. Wirtz has also promoted conspiracy theories related to QAnon. At the meeting, Wirtz continued to insist that children shouldn't be forced to wear masks and also explained why he's against vaccinations. I obviously have opinions on this, but Brian, what is your take on what Joey did here last night?
As a comedian, I feel like satire in a lot of ways is dead. It's very hard for audiences to discern what's real anymore because so many of the folks that Joey is lampooning are, the jokes themselves. So I think part of why this thing was so highly trafficked is a lot of people weren't sure if Joey was as strong in his convictions as Drake is, because I do believe Drake certainly believes in what he is saying, whereas Joey, I think, was playing a joke on everybody and having some fun.
Yeah, I had to reach out to. I haven't talked to Joe. To be clear, I have not talked to Joey directly here. I've talked to people in Joey's orbit this morning that all said Joey is not Q. He was trolling people. I believe that he was documenting this. I wouldn't be surprised to see. Remember the old MTV Buzzkill? Like, I wouldn't be shocked to see a little Buzzkill or Jackass-esque segment come out of this. A video released. Here's the inside scoop on what Joey did at this county board meeting. I just think it's dumb. I think it's, these people are already so fragile, right? These Q people. And, you're right that, like, there were a lot of people that did think Joey was being genuine, right? That thought he was actually Q and they didn't get the joke, right? Including people in the Q community, right? And now that it's kind of getting out that this was like satire, trolling, whatever you want to call it, like, do you really want to ruffle the feathers of these people? Like, they're very dangerous people. I don't really know that this is I don't know that personally this is something I would have gone in and played in the waters with, because this is not something I think that is safe and fun. It is very dangerous what is happening with QAnon.
I also feel bad for the Seminole County School Board. They're just trying to, do their thing, and they're not paid well.
Yeah.
It's a lot to put up with for those folks. I'd rather watch a Parks and Rec episode where it's really hilarious. Watch the Patton Oswalt filibuster bit. It's hilarious. It's a lot better than anything that anyone could do in one of those board meetings anyway.
Yeah, you said that to me when we were texting this morning about how you felt bad. I was like, dude, you're right, man. Like, these people don't need this in their lives. This is a real thing, right? And it's like now that pro wrestlers are like down there and Joey's making it's like a real circus, man. Like these Seminole County board meetings.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to point out about what Drake was doing, his kids don't even go to school there. If your kids aren't even in the school, what does it matter, Drake? I understand he's a taxpayer, but come on.
Yeah, it's really messed up. So I do want to be clear that after talking around this morning, I do not believe Joey to be Q. I'm earnest. This all appears to be trolling. It was some kind of elaborate bit. I lastly here just kind of on this, because I like Joey. Like, I think Joey is a very nice guy. I've had a lot of great times with Joey. I get that it was trolling or satire. If you're going to do it, I'm glad he got the whatever buzzkill footage to release later, it sounds like, or whatever. I just, how does AEW feel about Joey Janela going out and poking the Q bear? Are they cool with it? Do they not like it? Like, I don't know how they would feel about this,
I'm sure it's being met with some eye rolls, some shrugs, and a couple of giggles.
Great. Great. I hope everything. I hope that this plays out for the best, because I'm a little worried about poking the bear of the Q people there. And anyway.
Yeah, they're no fun.
All right. Moving to WWE news, which we have until we get to Mr. Bill Apter here in a little bit. So, Brock Lesnar and WWE. So the Observer is saying WWE has no plans for Brock Lesnar to return right now. As of Monday afternoon, there was still nothing planned for Lesnar, and Ringside News taking it a step further, saying that Lesnar's name was not on a list of proposed names for the upcoming WWE draft. And when Lesnar's name came in conversation, it was made clear that there are no plans with Lesnar. We're not even in discussions. It was also noted that the general idea is that WWE would have Lesnar return imminently if they had their way. Brock maybe just very happy chopping wood up in Canada.
Who could blame him? Right? Who could blame him? It's really nice.
How old is Brock now?
Ooh, I'm not sure. He's got to be in his 40s.
I'm gonna get. He's not 50 yet. I feel like I would know if Lesnar was 50. He's 43.
Yeah.
Okay.
43. Okay.
Dude, yeah, man, you got millions of dollars. You got a compound up in Canada. You got a family. You can do literally whatever you want. You have no reason to wrestle one other match to take another UFC fight. I mean, as much as I want Brock Lesnar back, and we can speculate about it, maybe the guy's just like done. Like, I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't want to do it. I don't know.
I mean, if I were Brock, I would feel like I've done everything that I've wanted to do. And if somebody comes along that piques my interest, then I would totally get back in the ring. But that's only if I'm really interested. I don't feel like he should do anything unless his heart's in it.
Well, our good friend Pollo Del Mar, who, by the way, I don't know if you saw last week, came on as Pollo Del Mar and was amazing and was one of my favorite things that I've got to do recently was get to talk wrestling with a drag queen, which felt very normal, actually, because we were just talking to Pollo, but it was fun. It was very great. Anyway.
It was awesome and a visual feast.
It was beautiful. I was so proud of that. I walked over to Liz. I was like, Liz, look what I did. This is so fun. I love this. I love what I get to do. Anyway, so Pollo here saying he has an incredible amount of money on his own. His wife was presumably pretty loaded as well. They're quite set. Yes.
Yeah.
That's as straight as it gets, right? So
I mean, that is the whole point of becoming rich. So you only do things that you want to do, right?
Yeah, I guess so. And, Brock is infamously very Brock does what Brock wants, I think is a phrase I've heard more than 1,000,000 times in my life.
Yeah.
So anyway, by the way, yeah, how dare you, as straight as it gets. Look, I was just saying to the point, Pollo is what I was saying, right? Very straight to the point. Yeah, and with Brock being out, it does, open the lane for more people, right, to get main event shots and things. Mm-hmm. It's just, to me, like, with the way with the McIntyre Lashley stuff ended, and what's next for Lashley? I mean, we got Kofi, right? But, we talk about how Roman's going to get Cena, right? Rumored, whatever, talked about, and how big that would be for Roman to beat Cena and how that's going to be a notch and take him to the next level. I feel like Lesnar could do that for Lashley too,
yeah.
If he wanted.
I feel like Lesnar should go up against a face. And I did see a rumor on Twitter. I think it was WrestleVotes. Okay. That account tweeted that they're thinking about moving Big E to the Raw roster.
That broke right before we recorded. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. So if Big E goes to Raw and feuds with Lashley after Kofi, then I would think that Brock would be a great person to put Big E over, to kind of solidify Big E as a top star and someone that should be taken seriously, in addition to his humorous and entertaining antics.
Yeah. By the way, Darla here, I guess talking about the Drake stuff, Nick probably still wears a mask. I don't, because I'm vaccinated. But even if I did, like, don't mask shame people. No mask shaming. Masks are okay. You want to wear a mask?
But if you want to wear a mask, please don't give people diseases. I'm all about that. But yeah, man, I got to let my beard fly.
Yeah,
got my shots. I'm good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, back to Brock here. Antonio Garcia, if he's done, he should at least let a younger talent retire him to pass the torch to the next one in line. And, the thing with Brock and Lashley is I don't even know that Brock needs to lose to Lashley. Like, I would be fine with Lesnar beating Lashley. I think, Lashley's had a great long run. Just don't do him Kofi style where it's like done in a minute or so. Like, they'd have to have a real match. But I don't mind Lesnar beating Lashley.
I was at that SmackDown where Kofi lost to Brock so fast. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, right? Just the air in the room. God.
I think it was also the Undertaker being advertised and not showing up too.
Well, and Bill makes, we're going to talk more about Brock here in the interview with Bill in a little bit, but and not to spoil the interview with Bill, but maybe to tease for some of you to tune in. I was like, Lashley Lesnar, is that intriguing? Pretty layup. I thought he was just gonna be like, yes, of course, everybody's interested. Yes, of course, Nick. Yes, why? Of course, I love Lesnar and Lashley. But he was like more coy on it, and he said he thinks that recently, when it comes to big matches, Brock Lesnar's choking. And I was like, damn, you're gonna get your ass kicked, Bill, saying that, But it's you look back at the last couple of matches Brock has had, not long, right? Doesn't really work long matches, nothing really too elaborate. I don't know about choked, but maybe complacent would be a better word to describe his last couple bouts.
Yeah, I would say it feels like his heart's not in it. And, that's what it reads like to me. And nobody wants to watch somebody who doesn't feel, 100% wants to be there.
I feel like it started with the Ambrose match at Mania.
Yeah, that was definitely one where you could really feel that Brock was not into it. But when he had that great match with Daniel Bryan, that made me think like, oh, and he had a really good match with Finn Balor. So I thought like, oh, maybe this isn't, maybe it's just a chemistry thing. But I don't know. It's hard to see. I can understand why Brock doesn't feel as motivated or doesn't seem as motivated. And why work if you're not motivated?
Yeah. Well, Fightful reporting, Damian Priest, he could be back in the ring for WWE as early as this Monday's Raw. He has not wrestled since defeating John Morrison in the John Morrison in the regular lumberjack match on the May 17th Raw. That came a night after the zombie lumberjack match.
Oh, how could we forget anything except for the zombie lumberjack match?
Yeah, right. So rumors of a back injury keeping Priest away from the ring have been denied. He is going to be available as soon as next week. If WWE has any creative plans for him, Priest was reportedly unavailable for the past few weeks due to other reasons that were not disclosed. It was also said that he has been healing up, but a back injury again was denied. The WWE officials were hopeful at one point that Priest would be involved in the qualifying matches for the Money in the Bank. There were pre-Mania 37 reports of Priest dealing with a back injury, one that almost kept him out of the match with Bad Bunny, but of course, he and Morrison both overcame their injuries to have the match at Mania. So anyway, Damian Priest could be back here very, very soon. I'd love to see him in the Money in the Bank mix. Sure.
Man, Damian Priest has been excellent in every ladder match he's been in so far. He has great chemistry with John Morrison, and with Ricochet already in the match, this thing is going to be so good. So I really hope Damian Priest can get in there. He had such a great match, teaming with Bad Bunny at WrestleMania. So I'm really hoping we can see Damian Priest back in action to recapture that momentum he had coming out of WrestleMania. I do want to backtrack just for a moment.
Sure.
I saw Samantha QT said that the zombie lumberjack match led to nothing positive. Right. I don't know if you guys remember right after that, I said that this is going to be huge for Army of the Dead. If you look at the streaming numbers for the last several weeks, Army of the Dead has been the #1 film for a month.
A month?
A month.
Wow.
So if you guys want to say it didn't lead to anything positive, it didn't lead to anything positive in wrestling, but Army of the Dead got their money's worth.
Well, good for Army of the Dead, because Miz got injured in that match and Damian Priest left the business for a month.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible for wrestling, but Army of the Dead got what they wanted out of it. So for them, it was a huge positive. For the rest of us, not so much.
So it was Ricochet, Riddle, and who else qualified on Monday?
John Morrison.
And Morrison, right? And they're going to have a last chance qualifier next week. And that would be all 4 of them then, right? Because I think it's 4 on each side, right? So there really isn't a spot there for Damian Priest and Money in the Bank.
So it seems. But gosh, do we really need to give the last chance guys another last chance?
They took all the big names, they had them lose, and they're going to have a super match next week, So.
I mean, it'll be fun to watch the match, but man, Drew McIntyre keeps losing to Bobby Lashley. Move to the back of the line, Drew.
Dino Garoppolo here saying, I would love to see Priest win Money in the Bank, but I truly think it's tailor-made for Big E to win it, cash it in on Roman, which would go against where we think the wrestler was saying he's maybe headed towards Raw. But Big E would be a fine Money in the Bank champion. Why not?
Yeah. But as we have noted in the past, the Money in the Bank is a heel's briefcase. It's made for a heel. But it would be nice to see Big E in the main event. So I'll kind of take whatever I can get to get him to that point.
and looking here, Darla saying McIntyre feels like he's going to turn heel soon. And you know what? It would not. I wouldn't be upset about it. Yeah. Even with that, you could maybe even do something with him and Priest, right? Where like you could baby Priest to a heel Drew. I just think that I think they're so cemented in this guy being a franchise player for them, in the vein of a Cena or a Roman. And it took forever to turn Roman, and they never turned Cena. Like that's why I think. I mean, like I think Drew is going to win this triple threat thing. AJ doesn't need it. He's with Omos, and then Randy doesn't need it. He's Randy, but it just gives Drew a way to stay in the main event picture.
Yeah, it certainly does. But it's hard to root for Drew right now, right? He's lost so many times, and we're wondering what's he doing in this main event picture over and over and over again when he keeps losing.
Yeah, well, Anthony here saying, why Drew again getting a second chance? Wouldn't surprise me if he wins next week in his Money in the Bank, which is what I said. And Joseph here saying they should give Priest a first chance match for Money in the Bank. That's good.
I like that.
That's a good joke. That was a good bit. All right, well, I got to start my Tuesday or my Wednesday the best way possible. I usually watch most shows the morning after they air so I can have my nights to let my brain heal from covering wrestling all day. But I got to start my day watching NXT. I really enjoy that. I think Joe has been great addition to that product. And the main event saw the Diamond Mine. They debuted. They are now open for business. So after weeks of a mystery MMA themed vignettes, the Diamond Mine debuted. The group includes Roderick Strong, Tyler Rust, Hideki Suzuki, and Malcolm Bivens as their manager. The main event saw Kyle O'Reilly defeat Kushida in a non-title match. After the bout, Cole tried to attack O'Reilly, but O'Reilly brawled with him to ringside to build to their Great American Bash match. A man then attacked Kushida in the ring, beat him down. It was revealed to be Roderick Strong. Strong then dominated Kushida as Rust and Suzuki watched from the apron, and then, of course, they all stood triumphantly in the ring there to close the show. I liked it. I'm a little confused about why Roderick Strong retired from NXT and is now back in NXT as part of this group, but I'll hear the explanation next week, I'm sure.
Yeah, and he got a haircut. That's why. Once you get a haircut, you feel like a new man. I'm going to get a haircut in a couple hours. Really excited. You never know what happens after a fresh cut.
I like Roderick Strong a lot, too. I really thought he was going to wind up on SmackDown. I thought he was leaving NXT. I thought he'd pop up on SmackDown or something. I like this, but it's also kind of like, well, Kyle gets to spin off. He's doing a singles thing. Adam's spin off too. Why does Roderick have to be back in another stable? Was a thought that kind of lingered in my mind as I was watching this.
That's very, very great question. I really, I don't know what his direction is, but it seems like more and more stables keep coming up in NXT, and they're just building new stars and hoping each of these stables at least turn out two people that the company can bank on.
Yeah, and Anthony's saying, I guess they dropped the whole Dexter and Hartwell stuff out of nowhere, which was really fun, but it's maybe been a long in the tooth, So
yeah, I feel like Dexter Lumis is kind of like in purgatory right now. We don't really know where he's going to go and what to do with him.
As much as I did largely enjoy NXT, I did have some questions. I didn't understand why Cross and the whole Cross situation is just so effing confusing to me right now. Why is he going after Gargano? Why is Gargano, after losing the 5-way and having multiple shots, why is he the one who's now back in the mix with Cross in the main event? Why is Cross getting dark matches? Why is Cross in 205 Live? Why are we hearing about Scarlett maybe getting her own debut over on SmackDown? I'm just a little confused by some of the choices being made around NXT, especially that Cross situation at the moment.
It really seems like one hand is not talking to the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does. Pretty blatantly too, doesn't it? So yeah. I wonder if the Cross and Reed matches on main event this week are because, again, NBC was upset that they pulled the Roman Reigns match from the Peacock's pay-per-view, and now they're we gotta buy more gifts for the girlfriend. I gotta get some flowers and chocolates. I really gotta lay it in, So
I feel like all these Hell in a Cell matches over the weekend effectively killed the Hell in a Cell mystique. Dude. Anything that's exciting about that match is now gone because we just saw Lashley do 2 Hell in a Cell matches in a row. This is supposed to shorten your career, and you can do it 2 nights in a row. What? Dude.
I am with you, man. I was thinking that too. I was like, I hope they take it 2 years away. They don't do a Hell in a Cell for a while, make the next one mean something, but they burned it, man. They really burned it.
I don't know how I can care about that match again.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Well, we have a couple comments here. So Alonzo here saying there are now 4 heel stables in NXT. And Joey or Joseph saying NXT is following in AEW's footsteps of having too many stables. Is it too many? It doesn't feel like too many stables to me quite at the moment.
Yeah, I feel like they're just building a lot of new stars. They're trying to set up, ways for, I feel like, Adam Cole to move on, Cross move on, some different pillars of NXT. Finn Balor is not around anymore, as far as we know. So I feel like stables are a great way to build new stars if you're not going to use your tag division.
Yep. Yeah, all very true. And Anthony here, by the way, saying that even though they lost last night, Everrise still rules. And man,
yes, they do.
they have grown on me. Like, what a great act Everrise is. Totally grown on me.
And NXT's tag division is really fun right now. I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited to see where it goes. Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa challenging MSK for the belts at Great American Bash right now. I'm excited for that. I don't know if MSK is going to keep the belts after that.
Yeah. We were talking about Hell in a Cell. PW Insider reporting the main reason for the Cell matches being held on Raw and SmackDown on free TV was to give Fox and USA something extra. WWE also wanted to try to grab fans' attention as the company builds to the return of live crowds. That doesn't really feel like new. I mean, all respect to PWI, who is great. That just kind of feels like something you could just glean from what's going on at the moment, right?
Yeah. Slow news week, I guess.
I guess.
Put something up there.
I mean, Samantha here nails it. Fox is the wife, NBC is the mistress, right? Like, one of them's getting a car, the other one's getting a scooter. It's like very obvious, I think, to me that SmackDown is the superior brand at the moment. And if I'm USA, it's not like these people like don't know what's going on. I would imagine there's some people at NBC like, dude, what is going on with Raw? This show is not of the same caliber as they're getting over on Fridays.
And it's just so hard to watch without the fans. I mean, the Thunderdome, they're doing the best they can, but it all feels like canned laughter, canned cheers, canned boos. Don't tell me when to cheer and when to boo. I know exactly who I like and who I don't like, and I can't wait for fans to come back and let their voices be heard and see how each company adjusts to that.
Mm-hmm. All right, lastly here, before we get to Bill Apter, Wonderful Willie, Off Her Chops, which I guess is a podcast. I always love when I get to read podcasts as sources and I've never heard of the podcast. So good for you.
There's a lot of them.
Good for you, Off Her Chops. So Peyton Royce, she's doing her interview and she reveals this pre-WWE release conversation she had with Vince McMahon. So this is what she says. Vince says, "What do you do for fun? What do you do for fun?" Me being me, the introvert, and the homebody that I am, I had to let him know that I like to sit on the couch with my dogs and watch TV. Vince just stared at me, and in my head, I'm just like, make something up. And I couldn't make anything up. Nothing was coming out. I'm not a liar. I feel like he could have seen right through that. I basically said to him, I'm sorry, I'm boring, and I just like to be home on my off days. I didn't contribute much during that. Unfortunately, and that's probably why I lost the job. Oh, and Off Her Chops, by the way, Polio is saying, this is Peyton and Billy's show. I didn't know that they had a show. Well, there you go. Wonderful.
It's pretty new.
Okay. Well, there you go.
But, I hear that with Peyton, and yes, you always want to have ideas as a talent, but then you look at someone like Aleister Black's story, who had ideas for years, just lists and lists of ideas, and he still got fired too. So, sometimes it just doesn't matter, and the boss has already made up his mind.
But even if she'd have said I like to go skydiving, is Vince like, God, good, great, wonderful, go get the parachute girl now? I don't feel like there's a right answer in that situation,
Yeah, it's sometimes the bed's already made.
All right, everybody. Well, welcome to the mailbag portion of the show. Thank you very much for sticking around. Thank you, Brian, for talking the news of the day. And I cannot stress enough how much I loved the conversation I got to have with Bill Apter. I love all of them, but we were in a real goofy mood. And I don't know if you saw the photo or not, but I was wearing a floral shirt, a blue floral shirt. And Bill goes, I have a shirt just like that. I was like, oh, cool. He goes, can you wait 3 or 4 minutes? I'm going to go put it on, right? Just so we could do the interview dressed the same.
What a great guy.
So
I think that's so fun. I did see the photo. It looked great. I'm excited.
dude. Anyway. And I'm not going to put Polio's answer up on the screen of what Peyton should say she does for fun. A little risque for my taste for the show, but there you go. That's a drag queen's that's some Snatch Game type response there. I'll put it that way.
maybe if we went back to ruthless aggression era, that would be right in there.
Yeah. Well, anyway, today's poll question at WInc Daily, by the way, WInc Daily. That's the account to follow. You can vote in the daily polls. You can find out when your shows go out. I put links up for different things over there. So at WInc Daily, that's the place to go. Today's poll question: who do you think should win the men's Money in the Bank match this year? Damien Priest, John Cena, Drew McIntyre, or somebody else? We have about 200 votes here. 43.5% said Damien Priest, and in second place, 33.3% had another write-in. So we're going to get to your write-ins here. Only 13.7% said John Cena, and 9.5% for Drew McIntyre, who, again, I'm pegging to win. Like, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Drew McIntyre wins this triple threat next week, and he goes on and he takes that Money in the Bank. Only 9.5%, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of the fans are kind of tired of Drew. It's sad to say because he's been doing a great job, but I think a lot of the fans want to see something new.
I thought Cena would do better in this poll as well. Like, John Cena having the Money in the Bank would be very fun.
Of course it would be. And also it would always lend this air of like, is Cena going to show up at my show, at the show that I go to? Is Cena going to show up? And
Right.
That would be so exciting.
Yes, I agree. And see, Polio here, I hate to keep going back to Polio saying that, like, Drew needs to cycle out of that picture for a second. I agree. You can cycle Drew out of the main event, have him keep the Money in the Bank, and then use that as a crux to cycle him back in at the right moment. And that's why I think that's what they're going to do. I think they will cycle him out. I think they're going to have him hold that briefcase for a while.
Yeah, Miz held on to it for like 8 or 9 months before he cashed in before WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Samantha here saying Drew could take that case and cash it in on Roman, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, first pay-per-view in front of fans. Drew wins it early in the night. Claymore's Roman at the end. I mean, it's a big splashy way. I don't know if it helps you get to where you want to go at SummerSlam. I'm not really sure, you know, but I wouldn't discount something big and crazy like that happening.
And I'm going to be at SummerSlam, so I hope we see some action. I hope they get Brock Lesnar. I want all the stars there.
And then, but again, like, nearly 1 in 2 fans here, they want to see Damien Priest take Money in the Bank. So,
I mean, it'd be a fresh start, something interesting at least.
At 6 Rings 9880, they wrote in Slapjack. Just don't see it happen, but really appreciate the commitment. At Blackstar PR, Raw, AJ Styles, SmackDown, Big E. So we picked one from both brands if they were to be a winner. A lot of people picking Big E. And then we have at Full and Nod 85 11 22 20 AJ Styles after the BS they pulled last year. What happened last year? What am I missing?
I'm trying to think. Last year it was Otis won. AJ got thrown off a roof. Was that AJ that got thrown off? I'm trying to remember who got thrown off the roof.
No, they threw Ray off the roof.
Ray got thrown off the roof.
Rey Mysterio was thrown off the roof.
He's great at getting thrown into places. He was thrown like a dart by Kevin Nash, gets thrown off a roof and Money in the Bank.
Yeah. And then we have from at Russell Yaffe ETC. These are random ass answers. We have this call sucks. Pick Jinder Mahal. I'm not trying to hinder Jinder. I'm pro Jinder. That man was last seen on Raw arguing in the back over nothing. And that is not how you position a guy that's going to win Money in the Bank.
You know, I'm a big Ricochet fan. He's been having so many great matches with Ali on Main Event. And I feel like Ricochet is one of those guys who you could just pull the trigger on whenever you decide to, and people would love him.
Yeah. And then Jason Black here, J Black 8509, right in there for Riddle, who is already in the match, and I guess theoretically could win. And then let's take a couple write-ins here. Let's see. Well, first of all, Alonzo here, I agree. Hit Row, best thing going at NXT. Love their charisma and swag. They are great, right? They are great.
Oh my God, Pollo Del Mar, I am gender neutral. Joke of the day, Pollo. Oh my God. Oh man. I can't beat that one. That's amazing.
Well, we also have here from Dino. If they want to turn Drew heel, then they should have him win Money in the Bank because fans are going to boo him due to the Charlotte comparison of getting too many title shots. Are we? I don't really know that I'm not burned out of Drew in the title picture. I'm burned out on Drew and Lashley. Like I am burned out on that dynamic, you know. And
That's fair.
Once that dynamic changes, that's why I see Drew back in the title because I'm not burned out on Drew quite yet. I really don't think that I would be sad if they turned him heel before we see what kind of reaction he gets in front of fans, right?
Yeah.
You know, I want to see this work they've done to build this guy up literally since the day one of the pandemic when he won the title at WrestleMania in front of nobody like a year and a half ago. I want to see this babyface momentum they've tried to put together pay off in front of fans to see what we get.
Yeah. I got to say, I really loved Xavier Woods getting some mic time on Monday, going toe-to-toe with MVP on the stick, and then having a really fun match with Bobby Lashley, even though, yeah, I feel weird about Hell in a Cell going again. I can't ignore the fact that Xavier Woods is in the main event, and I was excited.
All right, everybody. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of the show. Thank you again to Brian and to everybody, and to Bill Apter, wonderful Willie, and to everybody who commented. I'm going to be back tomorrow. Tomorrow on the show, I'll be joined by our good friend Polio Del Mar. Paul Pratt is going to be here live in Technicolor tomorrow, talking the news of the day with me. And on tomorrow's show and over on the YouTube channel, the interview of the day is going to be my interview with the former Wesley Blake, recently released in a WWE superstar, now Weston Blake, now that he is a free agent. He was part of Forgotten Sons. And then the Forgotten Sons were forgotten about, and then he was forgotten about. And so we are going to really dive into, we talk a little, I wanted to, because everybody's talking about the Riker stuff and Forgotten Sons, and we do talk some of that. I also wanted to talk to him about a time with Blake and Murphy, because they were
I love that tag team.
Right? Dude, right? And I was like, you guys were great. Like, what happened? Why? So we will have him tomorrow, Blake and Murphy, but of course we talk about the Forgotten Son stuff. And, what is this man who had to walk around apologizing to people in the locker room for Jackson Riker's tweet? How does he feel now that he no longer has a job at Jackson Riker as a babyface on Raw? We get into that as well. So, yeah, be a big one tomorrow.
Yeah. I got to say, Blake and Murphy, both free agents. Would be exciting to see the two pair up.
And so, yeah, we'll have Polio. We'll have what a duo, Wesley Blake, Wrestling Blake, and Polio tomorrow. If you like Wrestling Inc., the Wrestling Inc. Daily, support WrestlingInc.com. We're on all major social media platforms. And, of course, the Wrestling Inc. podcast goes live at nights after all the big shows, and you can subscribe to that over on the RSS feed as well. Brian, what do you want to plug, promote, put over here to wrap up the Daily for today?
I can announce now on July 21st in Los Angeles, I'll be opening for Lou Berger at the Dynasty Typewriter Theater. Get your tickets as soon as possible. This show is going to be fantastic. It's where national headliners play. We're going to have a great show. Lou Berger's got great new material. I've been working on a lot of new stuff. We're going to have a great show. Wednesday, July 21st, Los Angeles, California. It'd be great to see you guys out.
Go check it out. Go support Brian. I have a new episode of Pro Wrestling for Life with Sean Waltman dropping tomorrow. We reunited Sean and Jerry Lynn. They get back together. So an hour of those two, we went a little long. And then also on that program, Josiah Williams from Wrestling Flow fame.
Love Josiah Williams.
Yeah, dude, it's a pretty banger episode tomorrow. So Jerry Lynn and Josiah both on the show with me and Sean. That'll drop tomorrow morning on all podcast platforms. But if you want it early, I've just been set while we were recording the ad-free version that'll be up on our Patreon page here in about an hour. So if you want to go drop $5 and hear it early, you can go do it there as well. I am at Nick_Hausman. By the way, I'm going to set up this joke here by saying that Polio confirmed, Ray was thrown off the roof last year at Money in the Bank. And because of that, Dino Garofalo says, you got to remember, if Ray winked, he missed a lot because he only has one eye, right? Because I got one. So, that's all for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. And just like Rey Mysterio, if you winked, you didn't miss